If you struggle with analysis when it comes to GCSE English literature, I want to give you the one sentence that you can use as your perfect template that shows that you are analyzing perfectly every single time, and you can use this regardless of the GCSE set literature text that you are analyzing. Whether it's Shakespeare, whether it's a Victorian text, whatever you are analyzing, use this sentence and this phrase as your template, which not only shows that you're bringing together technique, effect on the reader, and you are also analyzing, but also it shows your teacher and ultimately your examiner that you have a really strong grasp on what you need to be talking about. So remember, analysis is the aim of the game in English. The more you can analyze, the more you can move towards discussing the effect of certain things in the text. The more you can move towards mentioning things like themes, this is the closer you get to getting those top marks, okay? So this is how you write using analysis that not only impresses your teacher, but gives you amazing marks every single time. Remember this phrase, use it. And what I've done is I've added gaps where you can then slot in the text and of course the technique, as well as themes that then work with what you were trying to analyze and discussing in GCSE literature. This is the phrase that you should use at any time you are trying to analyze. The writer uses technique to effect on the reader, which shows theme or idea. This is really, really simple, but this structure and this framework is so powerful. Why? Number one, because you're going straight into talking about the author's technique. Lots of students tend to forget mentioning technique, and the moment you start doing that, you're getting some really easy AO2 marks. But then if you then go one step further after you mention technique, and then you talk about the effect of the technique, and this is after you've selected a quotation, you then mention the effect of this technique on the reader, or obviously, for example, if you're talking about a play, the effect on the audience. Once more, now you're going into another layer of analysis. And by the way, I've actually created a freebie which shows 3 steps in terms of how to build up your analysis. So for example, I've given some examples from step number 1, where you start to picking out the technique, then zooming in, then going into lots of detail on analysis. So if you want just a little bit more, or to have just something that's really handy, quite nifty to use as part of your practice, when you're not only applying this, but also literally looking for phrases to use and any additional phrases you want to use for analysis, just simply download that on Substack. So I've posted it on Substack, and you can simply go to that page for first rate tutors and then download it. However, also the other reason why I also think this phrase is amazing is because you then also, if you finish off after talking about technique, then mentioning effect on the reader, if you then layer in the writer's use of either theme or the general idea or motif that they're trying to convey, then here you're bringing to full circle all the different elements that go into analysis when it comes to GCSE literature, okay? So remember, always focus on making sure that you go into these deeper layers of analysis. And again, when you see the downloadable, which is really simple, it's a 1-page downloadable where I added also interesting phrases you can use for analysis, you will see that all of the stuff and the phrases that I add incorporate technique, effect on the reader, as well as themes for any of your set texts. Now I'm going to give an example. This is from Shakespeare's Macbeth, okay, this play that's most popular with schools. But to be honest, when it comes to how to apply this template, it can be applied to any of the set texts that you're sitting. I'm just using this as an example because many of you who are watching this probably are also having Macbeth as part of your set text. But to be honest, you can literally substitute any of these parts for any text that you're studying. But I'm going to show you how to apply this to an actual statement that I've come up with, which is based on analysing Macbeth and showing analysis. So this is the statement. Shakespeare uses repetition to emphasise Macbeth's guilt to us, which shows the destructive effect of ambition. By the way, and I forgot to mention this when I started, this phrase obviously comes after you've selected a quotation. You've said, you know, Shakespeare uses this quote, then now this is what you follow on with in analysis, okay? So just in case you're like, oh, where's the quotation? Where do I put the quotation? The quotation comes before. Then after you've quoted, now you use this template to show you are analysing and unpacking the quotation. So I'm going to go back to this example. Shakespeare uses repetition to emphasise Macbeth's guilt to us, which shows the destructive effect of ambition. So of course here we can see the reference to repetition shows in terms of analysis. I am taking it one step deeper by mentioning Shakespeare's use of technique. Then of course mentioning the reference to Macbeth's guilt, which is being shown to us as the audience. Once more in this point, I'm also adding an extra layer of talking about the effect on reader. And of course, when I then mention the destructive effects of ambition, I'm also mentioning one of the key themes of the play, which of course demonstrates a really strong grasp and strong awareness of analysis. Okay, so really that's really it when it comes to how to analyze in a really easy, simple and straightforward way. And by the way, if of course you want just a little bit more support, or even to know how to apply this to a grade 9 model answer, either for Macbeth, Christmas Carol, Inspector Calls, Power and Conflict, Unseen Poetry and so on, I will be having a one-off October half-term GCSE series of literature masterclasses. This is going to be from the 27th of October all the way to the 2nd of November. These are going to be 1-hour classes where I'll go over not only my 3-page cheat sheets that I've created for my students for all these set texts, but also how to write grade 9 model answers for these set texts. And lots of my students who've been part of these masterclasses have ended up getting 6s, 7s, 8s and 9s, not only in the mocks, but in the final GCSE exams. So of course, you're more than welcome to join in.